Welcome back to the channel, you guys. If this is your first time stopping in, thank you for joining me. In today's video, I want to start by saying sorry. I am just now getting this video out. I actually recorded all of this in about March 15th, I think is when I looked at my timestamp on it. So, started recording it then. Life has happened since then. I took a job promotion, which has me working pretty far from home, about 6 hours away. And then along with, some family things, that's my main priority. They've always taken care of me, so I'm gonna return the favor. So that's what's been going on. So sorry, I'm just now getting to it, but without further ado, let's jump right in, give you the whole intro, everything like that, and you'll know where we're at.
Today's an exciting day because we are on our way to the Tacoma Harley Davidson dealership to buy some used parts. So a little backstory, I go into the Harley Davidson dealership to pick up some parts when I first bought the bike, earlier this month. And I was speaking to the guy who sold me my bike. His name is Jaden, awesome over there at Tacoma Destination. Check him out. Anyway, and I said, yeah, one of the next mods I want to do are some T-bars. Originally, the main brands that I'm looking at are Kraus, Thrashin. I like them both. They're cool. Whatever. Around a 10-inch pullback, 9.5, whatever, and some low bend, moto bars. And he said, well, we just sold a bike to a guy who does not like the T-bar setup on his bike, and we're swapping them out next week, and I can give him your information, and maybe you guys can get in touch and get a sale going. And that's exactly what happened. His name is Steve. He hit me up and said, hey man, I got my Kraus setup I want to sell. It's a 10-inch pullback with a moto bar, low bend setup. Sent me a couple pictures. I said, consider them sold, man. Let's make a deal. And so today Steve called me up, said, hey man, I'm on my way over to the Tacoma dealership. Come on by if you can, and let's make it happen. So we just stopped at the bank, picked up some money, and we are on our way there.
All right, you guys, just got back from the Harley Davidson dealership. Good to see those guys as always. And we picked up the new T-bar setup. It was a little bit messy trying to get it the handlebars to fit in my bag, but we made it work. Harley hooked me up with some zip ties, threw it in my backpack. Knew I might need it, so I brought it, and we made it work. And we've got the risers in the saddlebag. We'll pull those out, lay them out on the workbench, and we'll take a look at them. Anyway, I met up with Steve, the guy I bought them from, really cool guy. He was pulling them off because he didn't like the way that they fit on his Rushmore style bike. He said that the nacelle was really messy and that the gauges in front of his monitor sucked, so he's changing that out. I also met a really cool guy that watches the channel, which was a really cool experience. He has a really nice CVO that I parked next to. I took a clip of his Zwicky exhaust on there. Really cool guy. Talked to him for almost half an hour, and sat on his bike, felt out how the CVO seat feels, and he's got a Thrashin riser set up, so I got to see how that looks, and really excited to go ahead and do this to my bike now. So sorry I didn't film any of that really. I'm still getting used to feeling comfortable with strangers, pulling the camera out, asking if they're okay with filming. I need to get better at that, and I will. But anyway, let's go ahead, unbag all this stuff, lay it out on the workbench, look at it, talk about it, think about it, figure out where to start with pulling off the old setup. All right, so it appears that Steve had the Wolf 1 kit here. He's got the whole gauge relocation set up. I'm gonna go ahead and take all of that part off for now. We'll use some quick sandpaper to clean these little metal bushings up. No big deal, those will be fine. We'll use red Loctite on those bolts. I grabbed some extra electrical tape because I didn't know if I had any. This braided loom looks a lot better than the plastic ribbed loom in my opinion, so I went with that. Picked up some extra zip ties, and we have the Moto style ODI bars here. Those are gonna look really good. I don't quite know yet how I feel about the matte black finish since pretty much everything on the bike is gloss black. But you know what? They came with the setup. I paid a really good price for the setup, less for just the entire setup than just these risers would be if I were to buy them new, which so I'm very happy. They're really clean, they look good, they're not all beat up or anything. So obviously Kraus does a really good job on their finish, and I commend them on that. So let's get into figuring out how these stock bars come off. Obviously, we want to be really careful to protect the tanks. We'll probably go inside and grab some towels, and then we'll just start peeling stuff away. Probably start with the clamshell so we know what we're working with down below, and maybe figure it out from there. Maybe there's some wires that we can some connectors we can just disconnect under the clamshell, and then we can take the whole lower riser off as one, and then deal with running all the wires and stuff through the bars. That would be the best case scenario. Some of you may be wondering, what would make someone want to swap out the stock bars? Whether it's T-bars, ape hangers, etc. What would make someone even want to mess with the stock setup if it's good? And it is good, it's fine, but I'm gonna bring you guys in close here and show you, and as I pull this apart, I'll show you even in greater depth what leaves there something to be desired with the handling of these bikes in its stock form. So underneath this clamshell here, the little plastic surround, we have a short little, maybe 4 to 6 inch, probably 4-inch riser. And in there, which I'll get into and show you guys, there are rubber bushings. Now some people will swap those out for polyurethane bushings to make it a bit stiffer, but stock, there are rubber bushings. And what does that mean for us? That means a lot less vibration in the bars, but it also means you get some crazy flex. I'm not making this up, you guys. This is tight, this is stock. That is what you are dealing with when you are doing steering inputs, when you're trying to turn. That's wild. So essentially our goal is to get rid of all of that slop and make it a really nice, tight ride. All right, I've got a couple of towels on the tank to protect it. I want to start with this clamshell plastic deal here because I think once I get that off, I'll be able to see better what I'm working with in here in terms of electrical connectors, just what I can do to get these bars off with as little messing around as possible, get them out of the way, get them on the workbench, and then deal with all the wiring that's involved with swapping the wiring over to the moto bars. So it looks like we have a little Phillips here. It's plastic, so it's probably like a little clip. And then we have 1 and 2 3/8 bolts, it looks like. So we'll get all of that out of the way. Okay, so it's one of those little clip deals. So once you get it started, you can just pop it out. Would have been nice if these were black, to be honest, Harley. Just saying. I went ahead and you pull this here and you'll find a little clip there that you can press down on with your trim tool. Picked this up off Amazon, I have a kit of them. Anyways, so I did that. I still didn't have much of anything and I figured, okay, this steering lock is gonna have to come out of the way. So I put my pry tool underneath and this just pops right off and you have a little orange clip here and a little tab there. So really do be careful when you pry this up. Pry by pushing right in the middle here, right? And press that tab in. That way it pops up and then you have some good purchase on it and you can just pop this clip right out. Don't break it, good to go. Okay, now I see we have 2 Phillips heads, so that's looking like that's the next move. Looks like maybe one more clip down at the bottom between the 2 of them. Little jiggle, came right free. Now, carefully, I think if we turn the bars one direction or the other, maybe we'll get some space to slip it out. Oh, this is like Joe Biden trying to put triangles in squares, huh? All right, turning the bars is key. Slip this down, flip it down, and out of the way. Flip it down, and she's out. All right, so upon investigation, we have 2 wiring harnesses that come down through the bars into this little area here. So looks like this connector here. Go ahead and stick a little screwdriver in there, pop that one, pop this one, and pop this one. T27. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and I will check back in with you guys. It's a T27 again for the controls. I've got the wiring disconnected down below here, so I'm hoping, I'm not sure yet, but I'm hoping I can just loosen the controls on both sides and then pull them off slowly as I run the wires up and through. So for the rest of the hardware back on the back side of the controls, it's a T20. Control slips right off. I truly have never tried anything like this, you guys. This is all new to me, but that is just feeding like butter. Look at that. Oh, little snag, and we're out. Okay, there you go. Clutch, mirror, all the electrical, everything right out. This whole side of the bars is ready to be released from the bike, so now I don't have to worry about doing that with it all attached to the bars. I like that a lot better. So we're gonna go ahead and try to do the same thing on the other side here, and I will check back in with you guys. One T27 there, T27 here, same as before. This is our bar clamp, which will then be our brake reservoir, our brake lever, and mirror, all in one piece. It should come off and out of the way. So this clips in and holds it in that spot so that the bars don't roll. So all we have to do is pop that. I don't know yet if I will drill the hole for that or just snip that. Could just clip it. We don't need it. Cake. All right, so next I'm gonna remove the 4 top clamp bolts on these bars. Stock clamp, stock bars. There's that pin that limits how much it rotates. So if you wanted, you could shear that pin off and then you could have more rotation with the bars if that's something you're interested in. All right, ding dong. I did not need to remove the bars. I thought if I did, I'd gain access on the top. 2 bolts in there, like my Triumph, not the case. The way to do it is gonna be to release this pinch bolt right here, and then the pinch bolts right here and right here. Okay, so we have this T45, this long T45 that I just removed, and then I've loosened the 3 pinch bolts, and let's see if this top tree is ready to release yet. Oh, it's jiggling. Also make note of where it was on your forks. I did that, so. And boom. Top tree is out. Let me go ahead and pop these stock bolts out to remove this riser. Looks like we're also gonna have to remove this little ground. The little ground bolt is a 5/16. And these new triple trees are aluminum. So that's cool. Yep, 3/4. Okay. All right. Stock riser is smashed. Stock riser's off. Boom. Get that out of the way. Get that out of there. Here's those rubber bushings that cause us so much fantastic play. And we will pop these stock bushings out. Man, those are soft. Wow. Wait till you guys see this. Look at that. Just, that's what, yeah, very soft. All right, triple tree is cleared out. We're gonna go ahead and install the bushings in the bottom along with the hardware. Solid bushings, and then the black ones on the top. Now, it says to apply blue Loctite. I'm gonna apply red, and then it says 55 foot-pounds of torque. All right, we've got our Loctite on there. Got our bushings, everything's right. Make sure that everything's oriented the right way, and start running them in. All right, 55 foot-pounds. Boom! That already looks freaking sweet. Now, as you guys can see, in the top, we have a poly bushing in there, and then the washer. That is where our vibration dampening is now that it's not down low, which I love. Nice, solid piece down low, really strong, really sturdy. Then you get that little bit of dampening up here. So really, really like that about this product. Always want to zero out your torque wrench after you're done with it. Do not leave it sprung. That's how you stretch the springs out inside and ruin them. All right, so we just got the triple tree slipped on here. I haven't tightened anything except this one bolt partly. I kind of want to get everything mocked up and figured out in case I need to backtrack anywhere before I go torquing stuff up. So next thing is going to be, we can worry about that later. Running the wires up through and to the new bars. We have everything all mocked up here. Nothing's really tight yet. Just trying to make sure that I have everything right, centered, angled, how I want it. And then I will go ahead and figure out the angle of the levers / buttons that I want. You gotta make sure not to go too far in with the throttle tube to where it catches. You still want it to be able to freely turn. But I think that's about roughly where I'm gonna want them. So Kraus recommends that you torque in a crisscross pattern to 13 foot-pounds. All right, you guys, it's after midnight. I am tired. I'm ready to go to bed. So I'm gonna call this a night here, show you guys where we're at and where we're gonna pick up tomorrow. We have the bars tight to the triple tree and all of the riser setup and everything. Got this side all tight. I drilled the hole for the pin, and that is actually, it's a bolt. So you can undo the bolt and then just drill it and then run it right back in. And then you have it really nice and centered and where you want it. So happy with that side. This side, I have not done that yet with, and I don't know that I can because on this side, it's on the throttle. This side is basically just mocked up, so we'll deal with that tomorrow. And then I have the wiring loom stuff to wrap around the wire going down. You need to connect the wires, you need to tighten the pinch bolts on the triple tree, you need to put the clamshell back on, test everything, make sure everything works. So still got a bit to do, but I think the bulk of it is done. Looks really good. I like the way that the bars match the angle of the forks. I don't know if you guys can quite see what I'm talking about there, but basically that angle and that angle is kind of the same. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow morning. All right, good morning, you guys. We are back here today, finishing up the Kraus and ODI T-bar setup on my new Road Glide, and I have a confession to make. The footage that you guys saw last when I said, oh yeah, I'll be back the next day, we'll finish it up, didn't happen like that. I had a ride planned for Saturday, so I hurried up that morning, got everything back together. It took longer than I expected because I'm very particular about how I want my things to be and feeling like everything's right. So I busted it out, went for the ride, and then rode all day Sunday. So I've already put 500 miles on this setup. So I'm gonna take you guys through the last finishing touches that I did to button this up, because I pretty much had you guys there when we left off. And at least now I can give you guys an honest review of what I do and do not like about this setup, since I've already put 500 miles on it. So let's get back into it. All right, so where I left off with you guys, the clamshell was still off, a little surround down here, and then all the clipped, this clip, and the little screw here, screw there. But everything was already together. We already had the T-bars on. We already had the ODI bar mounted. We already had the controls on, mocked up. So this side was already done and drilled and pinned, which you do not need to do. You can leave it off and just rely on these clamps. It's just kind of a secondary safety to be able to have that pin in there. And it also helps them with PDIing and making sure that the controls are where Harley Davidson intended them to be. But totally up to you. I did it. I like it. Whatever. This side is different. It's a bigger plastic pin kind of a piece. I left that out. I did not end up using it. I just went with clamping on this side. And other than that, really it was just making sure that the pinch bolts were all tight. I had a hand Allen key, not like a socket one. So I was not able to do a official torque on that. So I can't tell you guys what the torque setting is. I'm sorry. Really, I just went good and tight on the fork pinch bolts and on the triple tree one up there, and then the bearing bolt. Beyond that, the quick little wire job, the wires were already run down. I just wrapped this nice mesh around it and ran it back down into the clamshell there. And that's really it. These were already all Loctited and torqued down when I took off with you guys that night. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down, give you guys a view of what it looks like with me on the bike, how solid it is now, and I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do not like about the setup. All right, you guys, so before we get into the bad, let's talk about the good here. So, really, really good seating position, perfectly, upright, straight up or back. I really like that. I like that the hands are a little bit down from the shoulders. Maybe an inch lower than stock to about the same as stock. I think I get the feeling though it's a little bit lower. The bars are about 3 inches narrower than the factory bars, which I love. Kind of brings you into that nice attack stance versus kind of this more relaxed, lean back sort of a setup. In terms of the flex that we saw with the factory bars, that is no longer a thing with these. I mean, if you really lock it in here, you're not getting any movement at all. Only thing I feel shaking is my belly. As soon as I bought a Harley, I started to get a gut. I don't know what's happening there. Maybe you guys can let me know down in the comments. Anyways, now for the bad. So, maybe not necessarily bad, but if you're interested in comfort and you're not super oriented towards performance, I would consider doing the polyurethane bushings from the risers to the triple tree versus the solid bushings that came with this setup that I bought used that I ended up going with. I may eventually change them out to the polyurethane ones. I don't know how much of a difference in terms of the solid rigidity you're gonna get between the two, but I've always seen people use the polyurethane ones to kind of avoid this situation. And that is from about 2,000 to 1,800 RPMs on decel off throttle. I get a gnarly window of vibration as it passes through that period. Bars shake pretty good, mirrors all shake, controls, everything shakes. And that's fine, that's reminiscent of what Harley Davidsons have always been. But if that's something that you're concerned about, just know that you will be dealing with that if you go with solid bushings versus polyurethane. Other than that, this setup is absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it. It's a great performance upgrade for this bike in terms of handling. I throw this thing around now like it's a dirt bike, man. I mean, I love it. I've got great corners and roads around my house, and I put it to the test, and I am sold on the T-bar setup. So I'm gonna take you guys through sitting on the seat and looking at the infotainment screen, what you're gonna see in terms of if you go with this height, if you go with this bar setup, or if any sort of mid-bend bar really, what your field of view is gonna be of the screen, let you know how good it is. All right, you guys, so I am 5'10", 30-inch inseam, sitting on my bike, nice upright position, but not standing, nothing like that. And looking at my gauges here, I naturally have about 2 inches below the screen before I see T-bar here. So really, these risers are completely out of your field of view of your monitor here. So in conclusion to all this, highly recommend a T-bar setup, whether it's a Thrashin, Kraus, whatever. It's all billet aluminum coming from your triple tree up to a set of moto bars, okay? You can get into some of the fine differences, like Kraus has the little bushings up top here. They're supposed to help a little bit with vibration dampening, where Thrashin's solid all the way up, but then you could use poly bushings down at the tree and you kind of end up with the same result. So do a little bit of research, find a brand that you like, find a brand that you trust. Don't just go on Amazon and get some cheap billet aluminum that's scary. I don't know. Do some research, but I highly recommend this modification in terms of you know, the end result of handling and steering input and everything like that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was able to help you guys out a bit in terms of knowing how to install and have, you know, kind of a little bit of confidence going into it that you guys can do this job yourselves, because you can. You just need to take your time, be smart about it, follow the steps, and you're not gonna have any issues. So like I said, I hope this video helped. Please give it a like. Please consider subscribing. More content coming. I've got to bring the Triumph out soon for you guys. I keep getting comments about it, so that's going to be next. Plus, we've got wheelie weather now that the sun's coming out and the roads are getting dry. So stay tuned for all of that. We'll see you guys in the next one.